to start?
Have the rights to present.
Let's check maybe you can try to check
I'm not getting the option to share. Do I have the rights to do that?
let me check okay with the image and so on.
No problem. Is there going to be? Are we using Google Meet for the live presentation?
Yes. This is the we are going to use Google Meet, but we are going to redirect this meeting to your slider and Zoom.io to go online over our webpage.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so can you see my screen now? Okay, perfect. Okay, so how am I going to start?
Okay.
CTO at Mojix, and I lead all of our global software operations. You know, I'm the guy that looks at product architecture and engineering and leads our teams. You know, my previous company, Tier Connect, you know, where I was the founder and the CTO, was acquired, right, and merged with Mojix a few years ago for our technology, right, our Java-based technology, our Java platform, and a team of expert architects, engineers that are experts, right, in Java, right? And before that, you know, many years also of being the chief architect at big companies within the US, leading, again, global engineering teams, ¿no? Y siempre, ¿no? Desde mi comienzo en esta carrera, ¿no? Trabajando bastante fuerte con tecnologías, ¿no? Como Java, ¿no? Entonces, soy bien boliviano, you know, I love Java, I love technology, I love companies. I feel free to say hello. You know, I'm very active in LinkedIn communities, so you guys can reach out to me, pueden contactarme, no, por LinkedIn y ser parte de mi red y podemos conversar en cualquier momento de cualquier tema, any issue. Para que se den un poco de, just to get a bigger idea, right? You know, we've created distributed teams, right? You know, working with technology all over the world, right? You know, Mojix has headquarters in Los Angeles, in California, no, pero we've expanded our teams now across the US. We're in Bolivia, and now we're expanding to other cities in Bolivia, and now we've begun to hire, you know, engineers in other parts of Latin America, right? You know, within Peru and Colombia, and we're growing, right? You know, as a company and leveraging technology in the cloud, right? To expand, you know, into Europe, right? We have 3 offices in France. We're expanding into Germany, into the Middle East, in cities like Dubai, and it's impressive, you know how quickly the company is beginning to grow, right? As our product and our business, you know, continues to grow. But what I'm really here to do today, you know, lo que realmente quiero hacer hoy es hablar un poco del real world, right? Real world products that companies like Mojix are working on, and how we're using technologies like Java. We're working, you know, just for context, I think you guys might recognize some of these customers, no, but we're working with some of the biggest companies in the world, right? We're working within the luxury retail space with companies like Chanel, right? Christian Dior, right? The Real, Perry Ellis, Louis Vuitton, right? We're working in the apparel, right? You know, retail markets, you know, with the companies like Kohl's, right? That you guys might be familiar with, and we're expanding into a lot of business, right, within Brazil, right? You know, with our products, right? This is with our products and our platform and our Java-based, right, frameworks and technologies, right? Into Brazil, like Pernambucanas and Centauro, Rubaya, you know, and we're also expanding into, especially con esta pandemia, no, la gente tiene que comer, no, right? People got to eat. So there's a lot of movement within what's called the fast food, right, or the quick serve, you know, market with McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken, Chipotle, and Wendy's, and we're innovating, right, a lot with Java, right, in our platforms within those industries, right, and then, you know, within supply chain with companies like FedEx and Honda and Microsoft, expanding within those markets as well. And it goes beyond retail. You know, esto es mucho más que solo retail. También trabajamos, you know, and we work bastante with the industrial market, right? You know, and so you have companies like Samsung, right, or Zebra Technologies, Cox Automotive, Whirlpool, right, type of companies that we work with also. Again, with Java, with our platform, with our technologies, and with our distributed teams, you know, all over the world. some of the most recent, projects that we've been working with, I'm just talking over the last few months, right? New projects that have come on board have a lot to do with data engineering, right? Data engineering and data science now are becoming, sort of the next layer of attention from open source and Java, right? Technologies. We work a lot, in this space with technologies like Spark or Java, Kafka streams, right? Kafka application, stream apps, Apache Beam, and different types of Java ETL pipelines, right? And like I said, we do a lot of things with Java. Every now and then, there's a little .NET or Azure that we also, work with, and I think it's important, right? Even as you become, focused and build expertise around specific, Java technology, the best engineers, right, also know how to translate, right, those design patterns, right, and those architectures into other frameworks that are also very popular, right? And so our teams, even though they're Java gurus, right, and Java experts, they've been able to also adapt, right, and deploy, right, our technologies and solutions, right, into other, right, types of SDKs, right, and frameworks like Azure and .NET, right, type environments, and again, applying those, that knowledge of design, data engineering and data science, right, into those projects. And some of these recent projects are fascinating, right? We're working with digital advertising technology, so you're looking at who's viewing a live streaming a TV series, right? And you're looking at what types of advertisers have different types of propagandas, right, that they want to display, right? And then you can inject that in real time, right, into a live stream, right? And and so we're working with Zed Media, who in turn is working with YouTube and YouTube TV and things like Netflix and Hulu and Disney, right, to apply, right, a lot of this data science and real time, right, data engineering, right, into those projects. And other similar ones, right, projects that we're working with in healthcare, market, also in automotive. Again, same types of data science and data engineering and and pipelines, data pipelines built, along with DevOps, right? And again, Java technologies, right, to build, right, these streaming, right, real-time decision-making, platforms and services. Es increíble, ¿no? Y estos solo son, tres de los ultimitos que estamos trabajando con el equipo desde Bolivia, pero coordinando con equipos también que tenemos mundiales, y mucho lo que hacemos, just about everything we do today, right, is starting to integrate with sensor technology, right? It's called IoT, Internet of Things, right? And so we're working with RFID tags, we're working with NFC, Bluetooth, QR codes. There's even some fascinating new types of tracking technology that is just ink, printed right into clothing that you can scan, right, and track. And why does that happen? What's happening is, as you look at not just our industry that's becoming very distributed, but you look at, the supply chain, right, in retail or in industrial markets, you can see, right, that when something, when a product is born, right, cuando nace un producto, ¿no? En las fábricas, in smart factories, right, and it gets, shipped, and it gets received, and it gets picked, and it gets packed, right, and it gets, put into inventory, and it gets displayed, and then it's sold, right? There's a long life cycle, right, to these business processes that's global, right? It starts in, one side of the world, and it ends, right, on the other side of the world. And you have a lot of these business processes that want to track, rastrear, ¿no? Cada, every hop, right? Cada paso, del proceso usando, right? IoT, here at the edge, sensors, right? Automation, right? At the edge, right? And capturing that data, right? In the cloud, right? So you can have, beautiful applications, right? That let you interact with those products and manage, right? Those processes. So again, hardware, sensors, IoT, right, are also big parts of, the solutions we offer. And all these things are also, right, again, based on technologies like Java and Kafka and Spark and Streams applications, right, and microservices, right, that we deploy in the cloud, right, as well, as software and hardware at the edge, right, for, again, smart factories, supply chain, and all sorts of retail, operations. So that's a little bit sort of about the scope of the business and the products that we offer, but looking, a little bit more under the covers. What is this technology? What does it look like? How does it work? Where does Java, fit into that? And here's sort of a high-level view, right? For example, of our platform. We call it our, Visix platform or item chain platform. We're on the 7th generation of this platform. It's been Java-based, since day one, many years ago. We work with technologies, obviously like Kafka, Java microservices. We work closely with things like Kubernetes, right? For the container orchestration, different open technologies like MongoDB and Postgres for a lot of that big data, for all that transactional data, right? Every time we see something move, every time, something changes status, right? We're tracking each one of those things, right? Within big data. And then we work with SQL for configurations and different, right, types of, open technology. Much of this again is based on Java to power, the platform, right? Today our platform has a big component, of course, un componente grande que está en la nube, donde está todos estos microservicios y APIs y distributed, event, messaging, pero también hay componentes, at the edge, y cuando decimos edge, estamos hablando dentro de la tienda, dentro de la fábrica, dentro del centro de distribución, ¿me entiendes? Porque ahí es donde vive, el IoT y los productos y las personas, los procesos, viven ahí. Entonces, tiene que haber, there has to be a component to your cloud platform that's living on the edge, right? And what we've done is, again, we've worked really hard to create a Java-based platform in the cloud, right? But that can extend, it can extend down into the edge with the same technology, right? The same sort of Kafka, right? Topics and queues and event streams, the same types of microservices, the same types of streams applications, right? All of this again based on Java, right? Connecting, the endpoints, right? Connecting the different stores and DCs and retail locations, right? Facilities, right? Connecting all those things to the cloud, but as part of a single organism, right? One organism, right? End to end, right? That's managed in the same way, right? It's, continuous delivery or upgrades or monitoring or failover or things like self-healing, all these concerns, right? Managing the edge, right? In the same way that we're managing those things, right, in the cloud. And it's fascinating, what our teams have done, right, with Java technology, with the right open frameworks, the right design patterns, again in the cloud and also on the edge. And we've been investing a lot, again over the last few years on even newer technology, things like blockchain, because when you start to think about transactions that are happening globally, right, and you think about different parties, right, different organizations participating together in a global process, that's where you start to see in the enterprise, you start to see opportunities, right, to distribute that data as well, right, to make, to have everybody, own that data and have, everybody trust that data. And we're doing some fascinating real world, right, production deployments of blockchain within this context today, right? And it's blockchain sort of, moving the data between, parties and organizations, and then very, with a very good complement of our platform in Java, right? Managing, off-chain business processes and data. It's fascinating. Also, just a little bit sort of our roadmap, like a lot of global SaaS, cloud companies over the last years, there's some basic things you have to do, right? There's basic things, you have to build, what's called multi-tenant, right, environments. So one instance of your platform, right, that can scale globally across multiple zones and multiple regions. One instance, but that's scaled, that you have many customers, right, in that instance at the same time, right? And then you have to be able to, when you have a global, multi-region, platform, then you have to put in intelligence so that your customers that are all over the world, are automatically routed, en tiempo real, to the fastest or to the closest, region or zone. You have to make sure they have, event-driven, right, microservices, right, and those events, flowing asynchronously across all your components, right, across, the different zones and regions, right, and again, in near real time, low latency, quick, messaging. And you have to solve, right, a lot of that DevOps, right, architecture with Kubernetes, and you have to make sure you invest in security. These are a lot of the things that we worked on with Java, for the last many years, right, to get where we are today, pero no es suficiente, eso es, la primera fase, entonces ahora, en estos años, el último año, este año y los siguientes, ahora estamos ya planificando ir más allá, los próximos retos grandes con Java y con la nube es, es con lo que se llama multi-cloud and hybrid cloud, right? So how can you take something that's running in Google Cloud Platform, right, and extend it to also run on Azure or AWS and scale now across different clouds, right? And how do you, at the same time, scale your platform as we discussed to extend it, to run on the edge. And so we've been working really closely with companies like Google. We like Google a lot because they're really focused on open technology, right? They're focused on things like, Kafka, they're focused on things like Kubernetes, right? They really embrace open technology, and we've been working directly with them on many fascinating, pilots and proof of concepts, and moving, this year, next year, some of these new technologies, right, and new frameworks, right, into production. Again, with multi-clouds, hybrid clouds, being able to virtualize that edge so you could run that edge anywhere, doing continuous delivery with the edge, It's exciting. I think the things that are coming over the next years that's going to help us, become competitive, as a technology product company. It's going to help us make our customers competitive, because our customers will be able to move quicker. They'll be able to deploy new stores more quickly or new facilities more quickly, because we can control and manage things at the edge, from the cloud. So it's exciting. I think the things we're going to be working on over the next years. And some of many of these things that we're working on that we talked about, is all about making our developers happy, right? Having our developers be able to change more things, right? Create more code and focus, right? On development, right? And being able to release that code, right? Into our platform, right? Into production, and not only into our cloud instance, but again, to be able to reach out and update, right? The edge, right? Things that are running on premises at the store, right? By pushing a button, in the cloud, right? And so, these are the things that we're focused, as a company, right? This year and over the next couple of years. So I talked a lot about us being a global company, and it's true, right? And having global teams, right? And having a global product and a global service. And it's something that we believe, in as a core principle, right? And something that's core to our culture. But it's not easy, embracing, the remote work model, really requires, a paradigm shift, right, within a company, right, a change in your mindset and your thinking. It's, especially for companies like Mojix, right, who's again, at the end of we sell solutions, right, but under that, we're really a technology company, right? We're enabling, right, new innovation and new solutions for customers through technology. And as a technology company, the first thing we're doing is we're embracing the cloud, right? We're embracing, connectivity that we have in place today, right? And we've decided, to invest, right, in the people, right? Let's invest our money in the people, right? Let's not invest, money in offices, right? In phone systems and furniture and desks and chairs and cleaning crews and, building maintenance. It's amazing how much money and not just money, but people, right? Then you have admin teams and you have IT teams, and then you have all these processes and you find yourself, half of the things that you're doing, casi la mitad de las cosas que estás haciendo en manera de negocios, maneja la oficina, and really, I think the future, right, and maybe this pandemic has been a catalyst, but I think things are going in this direction anyway, right, is to invest in the people, right? Just invest in the people. Make sure that money is going to the people, it's going to training, right? It's going to tools, it's going to, communication, right? So that's the big thing that we believe in, right? Is investing in people, right? Not offices, but that means you have to invest in things like teamwork. How do you get, the right collaboration in place, right? You want to empower people, right, to do the things they need to do, globally, without, micromanaging, everybody, right? You want to invest, again, in tools that are in the cloud, right? You want to invest in GitHub and Google, right, cloud platform and Google Meet and Slack, and invest in things that are in the cloud, tools that are in the cloud that all it takes is a browser and you point to it, and they're solving all the security problems, and they're solving all the connectivity problems. They're solving, right, all the SLA, issues, and stop investing in back office IT, right? In your own servers, in your own phone systems, in your own email server, right? Embrace the cloud, right? To provide all the tools, right? And the processes that you need, again, globally. And when you start, una vez que comiences a hacer eso, no creer en la gente, invertir en la gente, invertir en colaboración, invertir en herramientas que están basadas en la nube, después ya encuentras, mira, ahora ya no tengo ese límite de tener que siempre buscar el mejor talento en un radius de 10 kilómetros, invertir en personas que solo en su auto pueden llegar a la oficina dentro de media hora. Pues ya invertir en encontrar el mejor talento donde sea que haya ese talento, pueden enchufar y ser parte de este organismo, de esta empresa, Entonces, y hasta nosotros hemos visto, estamos expandiendo, we're expanding beyond La Paz and Cochabamba, Santa Cruz, Peru, Colombia, Brazil, all over Latin America, right? To para complementar todos los equipos que ya tenemos también, en Estados Unidos y Europa, y funciona. Y yo les digo acá, yo soy los primeros que pueden hablar en cualquier momento. This really works, right? Sometimes you do want to invest, in some physical, meeting places. We are human beings, where we're driven by emotion, we're driven by touching and feeling, and so sometimes it's good to invest, rent, workspaces, where people can go optionally, right, to meet for an event, to talk to each other, right, to celebrate, a new release or launch a new release. So, we believe a lot in like WeWork, right, style, places, right, that teams can meet, right, and collaborate. And I think that's a big part of complementing this remote work model with the human factor, right? Lastly, just a little bit of advice, right? As as some of you maybe join a company with with remote work, guidelines and policies, usually, good HR teams will, like ours, will help you, put into place the right tools, right? Again, you have to remember, we're human beings, right? We like to touch and see, right? A lot of communication, can be subtle, when you're looking at each other and you can see the expression. Is this guy happy? Does he understand? Is he frustrated? Right? And a lot of that, that sensory, right, information, you don't want to lose that. You don't want to lose that working remotely, right? So we encourage our teams to always use video, right? Or at least to occasionally use video, right? Because again, I think there is a lot of communication that happens, through our senses and through visuals, right? In meetings. I think good HR teams like ours are helping, teams establish, different types of meetings and communication, right? There's also, you don't want to forget about the special types of celebrations that you might have had in offices, that might become difficult for you now. I mean, how do you celebrate somebody's birthday? How do you celebrate the company's anniversary, right? How do you celebrate maybe one of your teammates having a baby, right? And there's techniques, I think for this, that HR teams are evolving, right? And it's important. Sometimes, you'll send a birthday cake, or there'll be teams will still, put a budget together to buy a gift, right, and share that gift with somebody, right? There's different techniques, I think, that are really important to continue celebrating, right? Different types of company and team and individual, right? Type of events that I think is really important, right? And then of course, building team, organizing team building activities, right? And doing these things, not just once a year or now and again, but really investing in that continuously, right? So you can still feel and build that culture, right? That family, globally, right? Within your enterprise. And I think that's really, important too, guys. That's it for me. But like I said, you guys feel free, to reach out to me, at any time. I'm very open. I work shoulder to shoulder with almost all my engineers and projects. So I'd be more than happy to chat anytime.
Great. Thank you, Gustavo. Una tal vez de las preguntas que siempre surge y bueno, desde que hemos empezado estas reuniones de la comunidad es de tanto especialmente de las nuevas generaciones, ¿no? Que empiezan a salir de las universidades o están estudiando, que nos preguntan el hecho de si Java está muriendo, de que tal vez ya es muy engorroso trabajar con el lenguaje, se inclinan más por hacer ya harto de JavaScript ahora. Sabemos, como nos has explicado ahorita en todo lo que hace Mojix, en los productos que tiene, son un conjunto de tecnologías que colaboran, ¿no? Que colaboran y que van, bueno, tenemos que ir, los ingenieros y demás gente relacionada con esto tiene que ir aprendiendo y mejorando, pero bueno, en tu experiencia, ¿qué nos podrías decir? ¿Qué le podrías decir a estas personas, a estos jóvenes que están empezando tal vez ya a insertarse en el mundo laboral con relación a esto? Java está muriendo, Java todavía sigue. ¿Cómo lo ves desde tu punto de vista ya y qué es en la parte práctica, ¿no? Viendo los proyectos y demás que has estado siguiendo en todo este tiempo.
Sí, esa es una excelente pregunta, Carlitos. No, mira, la realidad de nuestro mundo, ¿no? Y más que cualquier otro mercado, es que la tecnología está evolucionando rápido, ¿no? Yo trabajé antes cuando era Perl y después C++, ¿no? Después Java y esto va a continuar con Python, Scala, right? ¿No? Entonces, por seguro que este mundo va a ir evolucionando, ¿no? Y uno de los retos más grandes, ¿no? En nuestra área, cada día que me despierto hay algo nuevo, me mantiene joven porque es, ¿no? Cada día hay nuevo, ¿no? Recién termino de aprender Storm y sale Spark, aprendo Spark y sale Kafka, ¿no? Y después hay Flink, ¿no? Entonces, ¿no? Antes que nada, yo sugiero, ¿no? Que en esta carrera que estamos, te tiene que encantar, te tienes que tener una pasión para ese cambio, ¿ya? ¿No? Tienes que, ¿no? Enfocarte más que nada en los use cases, en design patterns, right? Entender, right? What is event-driven messaging? What is a micro, service? What's the goal? What's the objective, right? How does it work? And then what you have to look at, is, today, what are the technologies today, right? That are implementing, right, those concepts, ¿me entiendes? Tienes que ver, no, porque te puedes decir, mira, quiero hacer, microservice event, driven messaging y después, go look at Python y no lo vas a encontrar tal vez ahí hoy, ¿no? Te tienes que adaptar a dónde realmente se está, ¿no? Innovando, con cuáles tecnologías y en qué áreas se está innovando, y esas son las tecnologías que uno tiene que aprender, ¿no? Pero después tiene que estar listo para adaptar, ¿no? Porque va a cambiar eso año por año y tienes que estar enamorado con computer science, right? Computer engineering. Y los mejores developers que yo conozco comen nuevos frameworks para desayuno, ¿me entiendes? Trabajar en esto ayer, ok, este nuevo framework, lenguaje hoy, no big deal, entonces, Carlitos, Java es, Java, por lo menos en mi vida, no, creo que it's not going anywhere. No, creo que ha creado bastante momentum, ¿no? Para llevarnos adelante por muchos años todavía. No, cuando yo veo personalmente muchos de los frameworks más grandes que siguen saliendo, ¿no? Hasta de Netflix, de LinkedIn, de TikTok, o lo que sea, right? Que están contribuyendo. Yo creo que sigue siendo Java, creo que sigue teniendo bastante momentum, ¿no? Pero también ahora cuando estamos hablando, como dijimos, when we start talking about data science and data engineering, ahí estás comenzando a ver, Python, PySpark, Scala, por su fuerza, en las librerías, in the machine learning, right, libraries and frameworks, they're really, beginning to grow, right? And I think it's something to look at. And we're beginning to invest a lot in Python and Scala, right, for data engineering and for data science, and so the world, Carlitos, it's not an easy answer. The world is changing. Java is still, again, for me, a big component, where you can see most of the maturity, right, of the biggest problems being, resolved. But we're starting to see some other branches, right? And I encourage, again, the best engineers, right, to understand the concepts first, right? What are the problems that we're trying to solve today? What are the different design patterns, right, that are emerging, right? And then look for the right technology, right, in terms of learning and implementing, right, behind, those concerns. And you're going to find if you do that, it's still, mostly Java, today. Some new areas, are beginning to expand, right, into other, languages and technologies also.
Gracias, Gustavo, por la retroalimentación y el feedback que nos das, que le sirve mucho a la gente de la comunidad y por transmitirnos tu experiencia, ¿no? Entonces, de parte del Java User Group Bolivia, del equipo de organización, de la comunidad, darte las gracias por esta presentación, por estar en contacto con nosotros y también dando soporte a que este Java User Group pueda crecer. Entonces vamos a estar continuamente en contacto, trabajando juntos para que podamos transmitir esto, ¿no? Que es de poder dar aplicaciones, soluciones, tener gente que se va a ir formando enfocada en esta experiencia que nos puedes transmitir. Entonces, nuevamente, darte las gracias, Gustavo.
Un gusto, un honor. Mil gracias a ustedes para armar todo esto. Es increíble. Gracias.
Gracias, Gustavo.